Now we're really back. One of us here. Um, this is the Garuda Purana, the first gigantic section, and we are now at chapter 200. And we have returned to the subtitle Diseases. Although Bhairava continues to do the talking, he was talking in the last chapter.
So Shiva.
O goddess, I shall explain the subjugation of vayu. This will indicate success or failure, as the case may be. Vayu, Agni, Jala, and Chakra are the four auspicious things.
You're giving us another divination system?
I don't know about that, but we'll see. But he's saying he'll explain the subjugation of Vayu, and then he says Vayu, wind, Agni, fire, Jala, water, and Chakra, and it says Chakra, Indra, Lord of the gods, but here it means wind. Now, I don't believe that. It would be,
They've already got wind.
Earth, air, fire, and water. Air is wind, fire, water. Chakra must be earth. Indra, Lord of the gods.
Chakra is last.
Yeah. It starts with
earth.
wind. It starts with wind, fire, water, earth are the four auspicious things. That's what I think it is.
I think so too.
2. Vayu stationed in the right and left sides flows in various directions. If it takes an upward course, it is designated Agni. If it takes a downward course, it is designated Varuna or Jala, which is to say water.
Right.
I don't know what this means.
Well, I think it's talking about tendencies of these elements.
Vayu stationed in the right and left sides flows in various directions.
Water flows downwards. Fire goes upwards. There's certain things that get noticed.
But what does this mean, Vayu stationed in the right and left sides? Of what?
Yeah. That's why I was wondering if we had another divination system going. They were sort of hinting up here.
Okay. Mahendra, or Chakra, again, Indra, as it explained, is the stationary Vayu taking the middle course. In the bright half of the lunar month, it is stationed in the left side. In the dark half, it is stationed in the right side. Once it rises, it follows the same course for 3 days and changes thereafter.
What are they talking about?
I don't know. 4-5. At the beginning of a fortnight, it flows upwards and then comes down. If its rise is along the sun's path and its setting is along the moon's, all the good qualities increase. Otherwise, there is obstruction.
So we missed something important.
There are
some, like they're either talking about a planet going by, or they're talking about some constellation going by.
That's a theory.
Well, they mention how it might cross the sun and the moon's path, so it's something going by on the heavens.
There are 16 periods of transit in the course of a day and night, O bright-faced lady.
Okay. Well, that tells us right there that if you were to take, is it 16 for day and 16 for night, or 16
and I think
altogether?
those are the pahars. The pahars are like the 3 hours each sections, but there would be 8. Maybe it's a half a pahar.
Mm-hmm.
There are 8 pahars in the 24-hour period.
Right.
So there are 16 periods of transit in the course of a day and night, O bright-faced lady.
Right.
At the close of a period of an hour and a half. See, that's half of a pahar, an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
When the vayu changes its course, there is a likelihood of a man losing his normal health.
So again, divination.
If the course of the vayu is in the right side, that period is good for taking food or indulging in sexual intercourse. Wielding a sword, going to the battle out of one's own will, etc., are to be undertaken when vayu is taking its leftward course. It has a convoluted way of doing this. So,
well, it was a poem, somebody translated. So.
If the course of the vayu is in the right side, that period is good for taking food or indulging in sexual intercourse. There should be a period there. The fact that they didn't put one in sort of led me to.
And I think they must be talking about which side of the chart it shows up on, or something.
Wielding a sword, going to the battle out of one's own will, etc., are to be undertaken when vayu is taking its leftward course. When vayu is stationary, or the course is favorable, asking questions, study, seeking knowledge, etc., is good. When vayu is stationary, or the course is favorable, asking questions is good.
Yeah.
When the vayu is in the Mahendra state, no evil befalls him. In the atmosphere, if the vayu takes a right-hand course, there is drought. If it takes a leftward course, there will be rain. This is wind direction they're talking about.
Yeah, so they're divining by
wind direction?
Wind, by fire, water, and earth. I think that you're actually taking note of when you're maybe outside in an outdoor temple or something like that, where things are. Like if you've got fire on your right, or is it on your, is it in the east where you want it? Or you see what I mean? Because they talk over and over again. They would say when this is in this place, this is good, or it sort of implied. It didn't talk about the bad placement so much this time. It was talking about where things were auspicious.
I'm just baffled by it.
Well, I think
there's elements that I
at another system, like maybe even added on to this one we had before with the chambers.
I'd point out also the fact that this chapter is presented again as Shiva speaking to the goddess, because the first thing he says is, "O goddess." It enters into the category of texts of typical tantric practice of the story of where the information was passed about the tantra. The tantric stuff has to come from the highest level, but it's secret. So how did it get out? Well, of course he told his Shakti, right? And either she blabbed or a little fish heard it and blabbed. There's various ways in which this is dealt with.
The stones.
I'm just saying it makes it kind of part of that tradition that it is addressed to the goddess by Bhairava in this case. And Bhairava is kind of a left-handed aspect of Shiva.
Here again, possibly if you had the original, you might be able to restore this and put it back together. Because it sort of was implying placement in that same grid again. It seemed to me.
Yeah.
So it could be that this is just another extension of the grid we had the time before.
In chapter 199.
Yeah. Which we almost ran on top of you.
Yeah. We missed one. That's why we did one right after the other. But you might not ever have realized that if I hadn't opened my mouth.